Hello and welcome back to another episode of Medium Podcast. It's your host, Melissa Nami.
And it's me, Connor.
And for today's guest, we've got comedian Shadi Matar.
What's up?
How's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm going to try saying your name like a white girl. Today's guest, we have comedian Shadi Matar.
Yeah, Shadi. Hey,
Shadi.
I hate being called Shadi.
Is that how people say it?
Yeah, and I always correct them, and then it's just like, the problem is with people, or the funny thing is folks in the Midwest who have like the accent, like, so let me get a salad, like they say it right. So it's like, I love going to like Chicago and Detroit because they're like, hey, Shadi, and I'm like, oh, that's how you say it. Yeah.
They get it right.
Yeah.
I wonder what makes people elongate the A. So you're white boy, Connor.
Yeah.
His name is spelled Shadi. Would you have guessed Shadi? What up, Shadi?
Yeah.
Maybe I would have said Shadi. I don't know.
Yeah?
Maybe Shadi or Shadi. Yeah.
I feel like Shadi would be like SHU.
Yeah, right? I always tell people, like, how could I spell it to get the right pronunciation? And they're always like, that's a good question.
How about the last name? What do we get for the last name?
Matar.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't say Matar, like Mutar, I guess would be Matar, but they probably say like Mutar or something like that. So
I would get Melissa Nemi. Just Nemi.
And how do you pronounce it with the Arabic pronunciation?
Nami.
Na'am, like a blessing, right? Yeah. So Melissa the Blessing, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say we should just do the whole podcast in Arabic. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I just struggle
Do you
on.
speak fluent Arabic?
Well, the thing is, so I understand it, the Levantine dialect. So like when Lebanese people, Palestinians, Jordanians, Syrians speak it,
Yeah.
great, understand it completely. Maybe I'll miss a word or two. Egyptian dialect, no way. Yeah, it's like as Saudi Arabians, Gulf countries, it's like nothing. Even Moroccans can't even understand like Egyptians. So
It's tough.
It's a hard language.
One of my best friends growing up is Egyptian, and every single time her parents, because they know I speak Arabic, they would try to talk to me, and I'd have to dial in so hard.
Right.
And in my head, it's like, say grandpa.
Well, I say Sido.
Oh, you do?
Jiddo, you guys say Jiddo, yeah.
Jiddo.
Yeah.
Nice little soft J. They're all Giddo.
Giddo, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
And the Jordanians have the gaff too, like gal ishi, like he said something, and it's like, oh, you mean
Like, get that out of your throat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to me softly.
Yeah, but so I understand it, and then it's just like speaking. I'm like, it's like my brain is trying to convert. Like you're hearing it in Arabic, you're processing it in English, and you're trying to say it back in Arabic without saying how you would say it in English, right? So I don't know. There's like things. It's always interesting. Like we have just interesting phrases and interesting words that like pop up.
What's your favorite one what's like if you have a friend that's like, oh, teach me something in Arabic. What do you teach them?
Oh gosh. Like last weekend, actually, I was with some friends, and this girl's like, how do I say I like you? And I was like, ana behibbak.
Yeah.
Or ana behibbik. And she was like, repeating it over and over, and I think that's a nice one because like I had friends in middle school. They're like, "How do you say shit?" And it's like I'm not gonna just teach you the curse words.
Yeah.
So I think something just nice, like I like you, or how are you, Kif halak? Like,
oh, we're different.
Oh yeah, what do you go with?
If someone's like, oh, teach me how to say something in Arabic, I'll usually like write something down for them, and it's the super simple. I'll write like BOOS and then the letter CTZ for Boosie TZ, and they're like, what does that mean? I'm all kiss my ass. But it's perfect because it's like phonetic. Like you literally just have to say like boo, CTZ.
Yeah.
Kiss my ass.
Yeah, that's very good.
And then if I want to make fun of them, I'll write the letters EDBTZ.
EDBTZ, yeah, that's funny.
That means my hand is in my ass.
Yeah, I had to think about that. EDBTZ.
I giggle. I'm like, hee hee hee. You just said your hand's in your butt.
That's good because it's like I'm like I don't know. The reason I try and go more serious with like the Arabic stuff is just like, especially when teaching like non-Arabs, is like. And this is gonna get all philosophical on a comedy podcast or whatever, but it's
anytime
like,
we're a variety.
Yeah, but it's like we also represent the entirety of how people perceive Arabs and Arab Americans, right? So it's like one bad interaction, it's like I hate all Palestinians or I hate all Arabs, and it's like, all right, well I just ruined this guy's perception or this woman's perception of all Arabs. So it's like I have to. We're a noble culture. Like we're not what you see on the TV, and it sucks to have that responsibility, but it's like we do.
Well, that's a tremendous amount of responsibility to feel that you bear. You really feel like you're the representation of Of all of us?
We all are. That's the thing is like,
I'm sorry, I'm doing a bad job, man.
No, you're doing great. You're breaking so many boundaries and things like that. It's we all are, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like we all have to have friends and educate them about our culture and let them try our food. And it's not just because we're proud of our culture. It's not because we are, of course, but it's also that we are breaking a lot of misrepresentation for hundreds of years. Like there was this film, this great documentary. It's called Real Bad Arabs, REEL, and it's by Dr. Jack Shaheen, and he was a professor, I think at USC or anyways, somewhere in LA, but he taught film studies, and he did a documentary. It was great. I think it's free on YouTube, on misrepresentations of Arabs in film for like the last 100 years, right? So how we were just always the villains, or the like lusty like Arab sheikhs and stuff like that, or just really bad representation. And you see it in movies. It's like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger used to kill like Arab guys. Then it was like Russian guys, and now it's like cartel guys. So it's just like shifted from, we used to be bad, now we're kind of forgotten, and now it's kind of going full circle, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a long way of saying that people see us as like, oh, I never knew you guys came in Christian variety, or I never, it's always that whole like, when did you guys convert to Christianity?
Yeah, that's always been pretty interesting to me when people find out I go to church. Like, oh, like you mean the mosque? I'm like, no, I mean church. Like, let me just tell you, I'm intentionally saying the word church. When you begin to like look at that type of stuff, the representation of Arabs and everything, I guess the right way to ask this is, did you have a lot of Arabs growing up around you in
Hemet? I'm from Hemet, yeah. No.
You grew up in Hemet?
Yeah. We were like
I wasn't sure about where you grew up.
Yeah, so I was born in LA County, in like Chino Hills, which is out like San Bernardino, LA County. When I was 7 and I had no concept of the world around me, we went to Hemet because my dad bought a business out there, and it was like, our doctor was Jordanian, and there was us, and that's it.
Now
and
I see where that responsibility comes from.
So it's like, yeah, and then this is like 2000, 2001. We moved there in 98, and then 9/11 happens, and then I wasn't really affected by 9/11 as much as other Arab things, because my dad made they didn't make us, but he was like, don't tell people you're Palestinian, don't kind of bring it, tell them you're Christians from the Middle East, like tell them you're from Bethlehem, like that's it's a neutral flavor, but then
timing is everything.
Yeah, exactly. So
just like I remember 2 weeks before 9/11 happened. It's funny how you remember things that like circle around people teasing you and hurting your feelings. But like 2 weeks before, it was show and tell at school, and I took the Phoenician alphabet because Lebanese people created the first alphabet. What's up? And I just had gone over my whole thing of being Middle Eastern. I speak Arabic, all this stuff. And then 2 weeks later, we're all in class looking at the same TV screen. They're all looking at me. I'm all, dude, different.
How do you spell this in your alphabet, huh?
Yeah.
How do you spell death in your Phoenician alphabet?
Was I the first Middle Eastern person you met?
I guess so. I mean, I can't remember. Maybe I met somebody else before you, but I guess you were probably my first Middle Eastern friend, yeah.
Did you have stereotypes you feel as though I broke? But we were also so young when we met.
I had I didn't correlate anything that young. Yeah.
No?
Yeah, no. My friends at school were just my friends. Like, they didn't have anything to do with the world beyond it.
Oh, okay, yeah. You didn't see them as their ethnicity or their culture or what have you.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done much here in Riverside, and I'll tell you a funny little story, because there was a few Lebanese people at our high school.
That's great.
And one of them was like, fuck, I forgot about this shit. I'm not going to say her name. It rhymes with Shamamda. Amanda.
Nice. Yeah.
I won't say her last name.
Yeah, well, you could say the first name.
It was on Kiss FM, because one of the dudes took a video of himself tapping that, and it went all over the school. Do you remember that girl?
No.
Oh my God, they were talking about it on Kiss FM. They're like, a girl from Martin Luther King High School has a video going around, and she was the other Lebanese. She had to get, because I knew her family from church. I knew her cousins, and she ended up having to move schools and everything like that.
Oh my gosh. See, that's so funny, because like when it turned out like a girl was doing porn, not only because OnlyFans now is so accepted. It's like, she's a sex worker. Good for her. She's taking back, the patriarchy, whatever.
What the hell? Yeah.
Which is, fun. Everyone do their thing. Like get your money. I have my thoughts on OnlyFans, which is like, creators are fine. The idiots who purchase it, you're stupid. Like
I agree.
Yeah. Like my whole thing is like, I hate to copy a Seinfeld joke, but it's like, why would I pay to see a girl naked where if I, applied myself, I could just get it for free?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the Seinfeld joke.
I've never heard that. That's so good.
It's a great one. He's like, why would I pay for sex when if I applied myself, I could just get it for free?
And applying yourself is half the fun, in my opinion, is like, am I charming? Yeah, I am,
So, but like back in the day when it was like, oh my God, this girl does porn? Like,
Yeah.
oh my, I have to see it, And it's like, so it was more just like she became a myth, or like a legend rather than like get her kicked out of school,
Yeah.
Like we had one thing I remember where it was like the MySpace days, which was amazing. Like we all became junior programmers, which is, great. Like this girl, was dating this guy. They broke up. He made his MySpace background tiled images of her nudes just constantly, and I was just like, oh my God, this is before revenge porn was a thing, but this was like a clear example.
Revenge background.
Yeah, exactly. He literally coded every nude that he ever got of her on
Did
his
he get in
MySpace.
trouble for that?
I didn't know the guy. It was
Oh
one of those
my
things
gosh.
where he went to a different school.
Oh my God, legend. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's-
So this Lebanese
Like, you have to
girl.
hate someone.
So did this Lebanese woman?
She was half Lebanese, half Syrian.
Okay, so this Arab woman, she was like, oh, so you all do porn? Is that like,
No.
did that? Oh,
Imagine.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone who knew, like, because there was a lot of really good Middle Easterns at our school. I mean, we were saturated over there. Our high school was Martin Luther King High School, and we had Lebanese, Egyptian, Syrian. We had Palestinians, Christian, Muslim, you name it,
Yeah.
and we all got along really well. Well, we even
We
had
a
Israelis.
very diverse friends group.
Yeah.
Like a really diverse friends group.
Yeah, everyone was very there was a lot of cohesion over there. It's like, but it's really funny because things change.
yeah. But the Israelis were trying to take the lunch tables slowly.
Yeah.
You guys, so that's great. Well, it was our lunch table before you guys got here. So,
Well, excuse me, just fucking.
yeah.
Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kick the table.
Launching little spitballs at him from the Lebanese table.
Yeah,
Is
but
that-
it's ironic because like at that age we don't think about
Yeah,
shit like that.
exactly.
You know what I mean? I remember I was in Lebanon one time when my friend was visiting Israel, and we're like, oh my God, we're 3 hours apart, but we can't. If I went anywhere near your border, I'd get shot.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is fucking insane.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, it's like kids are so innocent and like kids are so just kind of separated from like anger and animosity and stuff. And then it's like only when you become an adult and you're like, you have to pick a side or you have to pick a team to be on. That's when things kind of hit the wall.
We truly are a blank slate, and hatred
Yes.
is taught.
I agree completely.
It's insane. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
I met you 2 years ago, dude.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years.
November will be my second year in comedy when I first went to an open mic.
Brooks Bar was your
Brooks
first one?
Bar, yeah.
I
And I
remember.
remember seeing you. I remember seeing C's, Sandy.
I saw your name. I'm all Arab,
Yeah.
and I was like, Shh, friend.
Well, it's funny because I was like, there's got to be some Arabs here. There's got to be something because I saw the names, and then it was like Melissa Nehmet, and I was like, oh, that's an Arab name.
Yeah.
And then I saw Nikki P. I was like, he looks Egyptian. So I thought,
Right?
yeah, I was like, this guy's totally Egyptian.
When I first met him, I was like, "You're Middle Eastern too,
Yeah.
right?" And he's like, "No, I'm." But he says he's like Mexican and Polish. I'm all, bro, what?
I would have never guessed that.
I'm all Mexican plus Polish equals Afghani.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it.
I really thought you were going to do the accent, like trying to lower your voice as much as possible.
Arab plus
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's not Arab.
Yeah.
Mexican plus Polish.
Yeah.
No, Polish is what it would be because there's no P. Like does your mom say bullies?
Well, it's funny because I taught my mom, or my sisters taught my mom how to use Chat GPT lately.
Yeah.
She got on her phone and she's asking all the questions. She's like, yeah, I choose Chat GPT all the time. Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, it's Chat GPT. Yeah.
It's such a funny little thing that our accent makes us do.
Yeah.
2 years ago, dude. It's cool. I look back and because I was barely starting when you came around, so I feel as though we started around the same time, which is really fun. You're more Temecula, I'd say, the scene.
Yeah.
I'm Riverside, but I think it's cool because we blend into one another's scenes pretty cohesively.
Right.
Because I see you all the time here, you see me all the time out there. Do you feel a big difference between the two scenes?
Oh, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
huge difference. Like, I mean, obviously, it's both part of the Inland Empire,
Mm-hmm.
Riverside County. You have one that I'd say is more diverse in the type of people that do the comedy, more like socioeconomic class is a little bit different, I would say. And I'll just be blunt, like there's more white people in Temecula that do open mics there than in Riverside. Riverside, you're going to get a lot of like, you're Latino when you have like two bandanas or something,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, that's it's cool. Like a lot of people can relate to those jokes.
Yeah.
I can't. And then Temecula, it's like, oh man, fucking Kamala, am I right? Like, and it's like, okay, the difference here is kind of, you can kind of see it just based on who's doing the open mics and what they're talking about.
Totally. The audience members too. I always say I find the Solaris open mic so challenging because it's such a white room.
Right.
It's so challenging to me. I bomb there regularly.
Oh yeah.
It's a good ego check.
Yeah, and it's like even in Hemet we have an open mic on Tuesdays at Derby's bar, and that's the barometer for if you can get a laugh or not. It's just like regulars who are drunk and they're just in there and they're not barely paying attention and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's a tough room to get a laugh in.
So are a lot of those, because I feel like Solaris, the audience is there for comedy.
Yeah.
They seem to like it. So the open mic in Hemet, it's more so this is just our watering hole type of thing.
It's a watering hole, and then because it's a for those that don't know, it was the bar itself was featured on Bar Rescue 10 years ago, right? And they changed it around, but it's a roller rink and a bowling alley and a bar all attached to each other, and there's
leave it to Hemet to have a 3-in-1.
Exactly, right? And it's like they have the bar, they have the stage, and then in the other room in the roller rink they have what's that game where you throw the beanbags in the hole? Cornhole. They have a cornhole tournament every Tuesday as well too. So it's like you're doing your set and then you're looking and there's people doing cornhole in the other room. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and it's mostly just comics that are waiting their turn to go up, but you'll get folks who are like, oh, what's going on? Let me see what's going on. And then they leave after 2 comics.
People go to the cornhole tournament?
Yeah, it's like every it's not just like 4 sets of cornhole holes. It's like 10 or 15 of them. And
I was like, you could fit a lot of cornholes in a roller rink for sure.
And they all have like jerseys with like sponsors on them too, which is like crazy to me.
It's like bowling club.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they bring their own sacks?
I guess
that'd be kind of funny.
No, like
can you choose your own weight? Like,
there's got to be regulations for it, right?
Well, I'm just thinking about it like bowling. I'm like, I like a heavier bag. I try to throw a 4-pounder. You know what I mean? Mine has blue flames.
That would be pretty sick. The bag with flames on it. Oh, hell yeah.
Every single time I would go bowling, I remember looking into the bowling shop like I was going to own a ball one day, but I loved looking at them. They look so cool.
Yeah,
they are pretty cool.
Bowling balls.
There's dope, especially the ones with the blue flames on them.
Oh my God, so sick.
I thought all that stuff was cool back in the day. Like if the rock stars that had the tattoo with the flames going up, I was like, they're hardcore.
Oh man.
Like Tom DeLonge from Blink-182.
So cheesy.
Oh, interesting. See, when I see stars with flames on them, I think like SRH and like Metal Militia.
We're Riverside,
yeah.
dude.
So it's like I think of Bros and Brohos.
We created Bros.
Yeah.
Right?
It's horrible. It was the worst thing ever. Like I hated anyone who would rock that stuff because it was just like a veil for white supremacy.
You just put your hat down all the way to here.
It did kind of seem like that, huh? It was a little bit of a veil for white supremacy sometimes.
Oh my God. Because it would be like, you'd have the ones who are like, oh yeah, I like riding BMX bikes or motocross stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You have a sport and these are the major sponsors for the sport.
Yeah.
And then you would see on the other half of just like, oh, I don't know how to ride a motorcycle, but I hate boop. Like,
Well, it's crazy. You go out to the desert and like every trailer has a Confederate flag. Every single dune buggy's flying a Confederate flag. Yeah. Everyone's got the "Don't tread on me." I'm like, you're probably not a Marine.
So you've been out to the river, as they call it.
Well, the river is like Havasu, like that. To me, that's more white trash.
Yeah.
So I've been there. So Chantel's family likes going to Laughlin, where all the leather people are.
Leather? Oh, yeah. It's like white people who like retired out there.
Yeah, and they just are in the sun so much that they like get that weird shiny leathery complexion. Yeah, those people.
It's funny because me and my sister were having a conversation about this the other day because me and her are only 14 months apart. So I was like, I think they call it Irish twins or something like that. But she's like, what do you know what the river is? Like, what river are they talking about? Because we never went out to those. We never got
It's the Colorado River.
Right. And I'm like, it's the Colorado River. She's like, like, where do they go for that? She's like, I know they have the Confederate flags and like all the things that you listed, but like, what do they mean when they mean the river? So
it's mostly like the one for that one, I'd say Havasu, right? Like Havasu, for most people here in SoCal, it's Laughlin or Havasu. Okay. Those are the two. And Laughlin's more of like they got casinos. They have a lot more family stuff going on. Less of a party place. But then you go to Havasu and they got this thing called the Channel. Do you remember the?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. You should go one day. Just go and walk.
I would want
On
to
a
just
holiday.
experience, like people, like Stagecoach, for example.
Bring hand
like,
sanitizer.
oh, do they not? There's no bathrooms there or something?
No,
Or
it's just they're like
dirty?
the lowest caliber of people imaginable. Am I being mean?
I've done my fair share of partying in Havasu, and yeah, it's white trash city.
Yeah. Well, speaking of another Inland Empire phenomenon, like when you drive around, do you guys see like flag sellers, like Trump flag sellers, or
yeah.
like F Kamala, or like Let's Go Brandon stuff? Like we saw one the other day. It was like Boaters for Trump, and my sister, like not knowing that people go to the river in Havasu and they have boats and stuff like
Yeah.
that. She was like, "Oh, like boaters, like foreign people, like fresh off the boat people."
Biden hates boats.
Yeah, exactly.
Kamala hates
Yeah,
boats.
she wants to try and take my boat away.
Yeah. We gotta keep the boats.
And you're putting it on a lake that's not going. You're not going anywhere. Like,
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. There's definitely a culture around it. It's so it's my family wasn't into the river. Chantel's family is. We go for Father's Day to Laughlin. And again, much more family oriented kind of place. There's a lot of kids and shit. Havasu, been there, crazy. The flags that I've seen mostly are at the desert. So like Dumont Dunes, Glamis, and I don't like dirt bike. Like, I guess that's not the right. I think they're fun. I think any outdoor activity with a motorsport is fun, like, because it's cool. But my brother has dune buggies and dirt bikes.
He's got his toys.
Yeah, and he's born and raised here in Riverside. He was a bro.
Yeah.
I don't think he hated colored people because he was Arab, but like, he goes there, and I remember seeing all that over there. I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
Well, I think your environment makes you a product of who you are eventually, right? So I mean, like, yeah, I was surrounded by like 80% Caucasian people. A lot of them were preppy. A lot of them were the SRH bros type of stuff. It's very the low hat, rock star metal militia. So I had a lot of that. So I feel like growing up, I've become a little bit more. And I went to college, like a very liberal. I went to UC Riverside, like pretty liberal, diverse college, and I have that activist background in me. But it's like, I'm like, well, maybe we shouldn't defund all the police, you know? So it's like, just don't make them like the military,
Yeah. You're more pragmatic about your beliefs, practical.
I hope I'd be.
I think you are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I think you're pretty well. You're level-headed. I don't think you're extreme.
I try to be.
Imagine you're like, kill all the boaters. Shadi hates boaters.
Yeah.
You're like, if you own a boat, if you float, if you
float, it don't go. If it float, I won't, or something like that.
If you buoyant, you annoyant.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
If you buoyant, stupid.
See, that's smart. I'm just like float, boat.
I'm just playing around. Let's. I want to know what made you decide 2 years ago to get into comedy? Because your professional background is working. I would say you have a pretty serious job.
I'm a government worker.
Yeah,
like I just want a boring government job with meaningful work, like, but it's just consistent and steady. But like, what made me do comedy, I've loved stand-up comedy since I was 16 years old. Like, I would watch Comedy Central just 24/7. Comedy Central presents like the little 25-minute like bits, it's
since you were 16.
Yeah, since I was 16.
Do you have like a joke that's always resonated with you? You're like, oh, that was not.
I never wrote any of them down. I never, because I was like, because it was Arab family growing up. I'm like, I want to be a stand-up comedian, and they're like, no, you don't. You want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And so I was like, okay, I probably want to make money and stuff. Don't pursue your dreams. Go for the safe option. And so I kind of just gave it up in college,
like a good Palestinian boy.
Yeah, exactly. Just like good, like we crossed a war zone to bring you here so that you can try stand-up comedy at Derby's and Hemet like every Tuesday. Like, that's why we risked our lives. It's like, okay, you make a good point. So I did the whole college. I didn't think about it. It was always one of those things where it's like, yeah, I was funny in my group, but I wasn't like the class clown or anything. Because I think a lot of stand-up comedians, when they get into it, they're like, well, I'm the funniest in my group. I can make anyone. It's like, that doesn't mean you're a good comedian. Like, just give up already.
Just because you can make your homies laugh.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you can make a crowd of people who don't know anything about you laugh.
Situationally funny and consistently funny are two entirely different things.
Exactly. So did college, did all that stuff, didn't do stand-up comedy. I was in a relationship for like 2 years, 2.5 years. Didn't do comedy during then. Got a lot of material from it probably, but ended the relationship, and I was like, I need to meet like people. I need adult hobbies. Like I was like 28, I think, or 30, 29. Yeah, that's 29. I was like, I need to meet people and do something. So I was like, well, I could go to I go to the gym, but I don't talk to anyone at the gym.
Yeah, you just
like,
have your headphones on.
It's like, what am I supposed? Like, I tried talking to a woman at the gym once, not even in a like creepy, like, hey, you look hot or whatever. It was like she was doing squats in a particular way, and in my brain was like, why? Oh, well, yeah, like, does this target a certain, like, the glutes more than the hamstrings and the blah, blah, blah? So I came up, I'm like, hey, why are you doing the squats this way? And she had this look of, like, you're staring at me while I'm squatting. I'm like, no, just mechanically speaking, why are you doing the squats this way? So stand-up comedy was like, I had a notepad on my phone. I had started writing ideas down.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, let me try the joke. So I went.
Did you start writing ideas down just after the breakup, or while you were still with the?
No, after the breakup.
After the breakup.
I was like, I probably should, if I want to do this stand-up comedy, I should write ideas. I can't just go and be like, like I'm the funniest.
You started preparing.
Yeah. So then I had like a 3-minute set or a 5-minute set. And I went to Brooks Bar. And they're like, okay, everyone put in suggestions and then the thing, and we'll pull it. I'm like, I thought this was an open mic, and they're like, you can do what you want, but just like pull from the thing. So I did my set instead of I didn't pull anything the first time, and then.
Well, that's 7 minutes. There's a lot to do with 7 minutes.
Oh, it's 7?
It was back when you started. Yeah, now it's 5, I think.
Yeah,
because the scene is so saturated right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'll see the Back to the Grind list, and it's like 35 people, and that's why I don't go. Like, it's equidistant for me to go to Riverside than to go to Temecula, but it's like waiting for 35 people to go up, and I luck of the draw always end up at the bottom 10 people.
They do that priority sign up thing now. I like doing it because I like going home early.
Yeah, but I like that sweet spot right after where it's like the people kind of walk down, like, oh, what's going on? And you get a big group.
Yeah.
And it's like that means there's 35 comics waiting their turn there, and they don't laugh at normal jokes. Like, I feel like a lot of them laugh at
the edgy stuff.
It's not even the edgy. I feel like it's like when you bomb and you're like, well, that didn't work. They laugh more at like, oh, that's relatable to me as a comic. I've bombed before.
Yeah.
They're laughing at the meta, not the actual jokes.
Yeah. Like when I laugh at a joke, and we were talking about like, a comedian who had a really funny joke that didn't hit well with an audience.
Yeah.
When she did her joke, I was like, that's fun. I literally just say out loud, that's funny. But it won't come out as like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But what will make me laugh is when someone will do crowd work and just the crowd is not giving them anything. I'm like, oh, these guys are assholes. Like, they're not giving you anything.
You're giggling at the irony.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did the open mic at Brooks Bar, just kind of wrap this story up. I did and I got like a few chuckles. And I remember
you didn't do bad.
I didn't do bad.
I was very happy you didn't do bad because I was like, fuck, if the other Arab dude comes and sucks. Like, so I was very grateful.
Yeah, so I did.
Represent.
I was like, yeah, exactly. And it was like, then it's like, oh, well, there's other open mics in this area. And that's what I liked about the scene is like, well, let's try to help you. Let's try and help each other. Let's not kind of squat.
Supportive.
Yeah, very supportive.
Very inclusive.
And I haven't done mics in LA. I've maybe done one out in Pasadena, I think once. And it was like, they were all kind of nice, but they weren't like super supportive and like, hey, let me get to know you. While in Riverside and Temecula and the Inland Empire, it's like, hey, where do you do comedy at? Or like, hey, did you know about this place? And I try to pay it forward as well with comedians where I'm like, hey, you should know about this place, this place, this place.
Yeah. Do you tell a lot of newer comics about open mics and opportunities?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that being more seasoned now?
I wouldn't even say I'm seasoned. It's weird. I'm pushing against the whole comedian thing a lot. I do it for fun. I do it as a hobby. I do it to meet people, like the original intention. And like, I'm happy that I make people laugh. That's like the main goal, obviously.
Yeah.
But I always laugh when people are like, we're artists, man. Like, we're creating something, It's like, dude, you told a joke for 3 minutes about your dick not working. Like, that's your art. I mean, I guess that's art.
If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah. So like, who am I to like poo-poo on anyone's art, Not me. Like,
poo-poo.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. So
I like that.
But it's just funny because like, I'm just telling jokes about how Hinge sucks and how Tinder sucks,
Yeah.
So
you don't feel like you're really cracking the mold or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just like
I think the art comes in the way you orchestrate the words. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you have to be a wordsmith to be clever. Otherwise, everybody's going to see your punchline coming.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if you're able to to use your adjective, like veil the punchline with your words. I think that's where the artistry comes from.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Melissa. Is like it is the wordsmithing that is the art, right? Like so there will be a joke, a concept of a joke, right? I think X is funny. You say it that way, it doesn't work out, and someone else will be like, hey, what if you tried it this way? And you try saying it with different words, and it's like, okay, that's what it is. That's what it. Like I'll give an example. It happened literally a few days ago. I was in a roast battle, and the joke that I had was, this dude, beats his wife. It's a domestic abuse joke, right? Because he was wearing a wife beater, shaved head, tattoos and everything. So I was like, oh, like I've never not seen you wear a wife beater before. Funny enough, I don't think your wife's ever seen out of her eyes before. That's how I originally said the joke, but I told it to people and they're like, I don't like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and another comedian was like, hey, what if you tried saying it? She hasn't seen out of her eyes since the swelling has gone down, or like she needs the swelling to go down to see out of her eyes. And I'm like, so just adding those little words, that's the art. It was way funnier that way.
Yeah. Because you have to let people know that getting beat.
Exactly.
Some people don't connect.
Exactly.
But that's what you do to help them.
And that's the art. So for me, it's like, I laugh because it's like, we're making art out of like, how can I say my dick doesn't work or my dick is small in so many different ways,
I have a joke that I always say is like one of my favorites words wise, where I talk about like crack babies and like why crack whores keep their babies. And I'm like, oh, that's a girl who took the phrase, Jesus is your rock.
Yeah.
And I love that joke. I'm like, that's so funny to me, but I have a hard time. There's a disconnect. And I still need to figure that out.
I think it's the whole rock thing. Like, people don't understand crack rock. I don't think people get the crack rock things. People need to try more drugs. It's funny because I was talking about heroin the other day, and it's like, I was like, it must be good if a lot of people like get super addicted to it. And someone was like, yeah, it probably feels good the first time, but like it's destructive and super addictive. And I'm like, well, what if you just tried it once? And like, have you ever met someone who's just tried heroin once? And the answer is no. I don't think I've ever met someone who's just done it once. So no.
There's that one dude, I think he's been on Joe Rogan before. I haven't watched the episode. I don't really watch that podcast, but there's a dude that I've heard about that recreationally microdoses heroin. He's like a professor somewhere.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
So I'm like, there's that guy.
It's just an opiate, really. But I mean, it's a very severe opiate, obviously, right?
I just always think about those taco guys. They're just like folded over. Like this.
I think they're on a bunch of shit.
Have you seen
like
those
daywalker kind of people?
They'll
where they're
just be like this. Yeah. Just not moving.
Well, it's funny, not like the guy who from One Direction who jumped off the balcony the other day.
Did he do it on purpose?
So people like, whenever something happens, I just go on Twitter or X now, and I just like scroll and see fan theories or theories, and someone's like, it must have been crack, because someone's like, yeah, I literally put a match or a lighter over my hand and it felt good when I was doing it. So it's like, crack will make you do crazy. So that's why they think it's like, oh, he must have just been like, yeah, it's fun to jump off.
I must have had some bad crack. That sounds tight.
I feel no pain. I am invincible. Like, that's what every crackhead feels.
Yeah, those the walkers or whatever, Walking Dead acronym you want to use for those like guys hunched over when they're just zonked out.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I would tip over. If I was like sober and just bent over like that for 2 minutes, I would tip over.
Maybe it's like those, like, do you remember those bird things from the 90s, like where you'd rest the beak on your finger and it wouldn't like tip over?
Oh, that's what they are?
Yeah, maybe that's like kind of what they are in a sense.
They found equilibrium. They're one with the Earth's core. That's ridiculous. So you went to your first open mic at Brooks. You had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. I got a few laughs. I was like, everyone else is funny and they're comedians, and I'm around other people who want to do comedy too. Like,
you can't just call it a hobby, right? It's a pretty serious hobby. You're 2 years deep.
I know. I'm 2 years deep, and I've been on gigs and I've been paid gas money to do it. So it's like, I feel like I can call myself a comedian at this point. So I guess it's not a hobby anymore. It
can still be something you just like love to do for the purity of like doing it. It doesn't, I think that there's a little bit of like it feels like malicious intent almost when people are doing it solely for the purpose of like becoming this thing. Yeah. This entity. And it's like if you pursue anything in your life with this like ultimate tell-all goal, how many times are you going to end up falling short or disappointing yourself or not attain? Like, I don't want to say it doesn't make it attainable, but it's like if your ego gets there before you, then typically people find complacency first. you know?
No, I completely agree. And I think that's where I have this cynical mindset over people who do it for like, I want to be famous and I want to, because we do see a lot of people when we do open mics of like, what do you do? It's like, oh, I work at Amazon, or I'm an Uber driver, or like I do this or that, where it's like normal everyday people stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's your profession. You're putting money on the table, or like food on the table for your family.
Yeah.
But they have these aspirations of like, I'm getting attention in life on stage that I'm not getting anywhere else. People are looking at me for 7 minutes, 5 minutes uninterrupted. I'm making people laugh, and sometimes I'm getting paid for it. It is this ego boost that people get, and you see people who have like what you're talking about, the ego, and they want to do it, and that's what really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Is, dude, just go make people laugh. Like, don't like.
You still have to be likable.
Exactly.
You know. To me, I feel like overly, and correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, I feel like overly confident, like people who overexert their confidence, they're not very likable people initially.
Yeah, I mean there is a point, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can be confident, but if you're overly confident, everybody's just going to think you're an asshole.
Yeah, you're a jerkhead.
Well, what's the line for you from confidence to cockiness? Because I think that's a very fine line. In
Self-boasting.
Oh yeah, that's
Self-boasting.
sure.
Like if you, like I've never looked at myself in the mirror and been like, you're the best tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's also because like, no matter what I do, I always feel like I can always do better.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fair.
I'm very self-critical, I guess.
Oh, we all are. Yeah.
Yeah. Like some people will be like, I don't know. I think to this day, I've only said I've killed twice.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them felt like I literally thought Chantel paid everybody $5 one time. I was just like, what's going on here? This is weird. But it's not like you'll see those people who are just like, fuck, what's the right way to say it? Our peers that are just like, we were there, we saw your set, we saw the same thing happen, but this is how you're interpreting it. Like,
exactly.
I feel like I'm being objective still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's hard when you're on the stage to obviously discern like everything kind of gets magnified. Like I kind of just shut everything. I don't hear the laughs. I don't hear, which is a hard part because I don't pause for laughter a lot of the times. I'm just kind of like plowing through my jokes, which is, I should do that. But when
take a deep breath.
Yeah. And just soak it in and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's also when you're limited on time for a lot of open mics and even shows where you only get like 10, 15 minutes. Like the most time I've ever done is like 15, 20 minutes at the most, which that gave me like breathing room to like.
You can stretch your legs a little bit.
Exactly.
Try out new tags, all that fun stuff.
But I have, where it's like, dude, I fucking killed that set. And it's like, well, you did fine. Like, but there were people not paying attention too. So.
Yeah, I get that. That's always the tough thing with like brewery shows, bar shows, and stuff like that. It's totally different when the intention's comedy. Like I say, Hemet, the Derby Room for the comedy night, the show. Yeah. It pretty much turns into a club. Everybody's there to listen to comedy. Yeah. Which is cool. I appreciate that. You're a good writer.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think you're a very funny roaster.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoy when you're on a roast lineup and I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, Shadi's gonna kill this. Yeah. Do you have a preference in which material you're writing for?
A preference. So I look at them differently. So first of all, thank you for saying that. It's very nice. I think your writing is fantastic, super funny. And we were talking about it before we started recording here, but like you're not a funny female comedian. You're a funny comedian.
Thank you.
So,
that means a lot to me.
Yeah. And it's like,
you're also not a funny female comedian.
Even though
you're just a funny comedian.
Even though I have a hairy pussy.
Listen.
But no, so when it comes to roasting, like I'll start with that one. Like roasting is great because we're supposed to be so proper and polite in everyday life, and you're supposed to like not be mean to people, and roasting is like I'm getting permission from another person to be as mean as possible and to not just your physical insecurities, but like you're telling me like, hey, this happened to me when I was a kid, or this happened to me a few years ago, or I got broken up with. Yeah. And you're telling me I can just destroy you for that? This is like my high school lunchroom experience for 4 years. I was molded for 4 years. Like I couldn't do any, like, I'll give an example. In high school, a girl had a crush on me, and she was an overweight woman. And one time I was like, hey, let me just go on a date with her and hang out. And I went on a date with her. I got made fun of for that for like a decade from my friend group.
Damn.
For just like going on a date
Chubby
with
Chaser Shadi.
It was just like, I don't even want to like say her name or anything like that, but it rhymes with swamp, so they would call me the swamp, like they would call her the swamp.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you went on a date with the swamp.
In
And
my
it's
head, I'm like, what fucking name rhymes with swamp?
yeah, right. And it's the last name. Anyways,
Oh, okay.
so it's just like I'm getting made fun. So now, and obviously you dish it back too.
Yeah.
Some people actually left our friend group in high school because they couldn't handle
The sarcasm,
the meanness
yeah,
of it.
the dry humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with
Sounds
roasting
like my
it,
family.
what, that they can handle it, or that
we can all handle it, but we all dish it out. Probably sometimes a little too much.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
very interesting from a family that doesn't or like behave that way to see his family talk, because it's so much love behind the insults. But his mom's calling him like a fucking bitch. And I'm like, wait, your mom calls you that?
Yeah. And
like,
then
yeah, she loves me.
And then I call her that right back.
So I had that.
It's so cute.
with my family, mostly with my friends group. My family, not so much, but yeah, it's like now in comedy, you're telling me I'm allowed to make fun of this person too. So that's where the writing comes in. I'm like, I can be as mean as possible and creative. Not because I always make jokes at these roasts where it's like the joke's always you're fat or you're gay.
Yeah.
That's what people, and I'm like, I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to do it,
You're not going for that low hanging fruit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but then I end up doing a fat or a gay joke, but it's in a clever way. Mm-hmm. But with joke writing, I enjoy joke writing more because I think it's a struggle to translate a concept and then make it relatable to people who have never met you, who don't know what you're talking about. So I think just the challenge of making something funny is what I enjoy.
Taking something you think is funny and making it palatable to everybody in the room.
Exactly.
It's definitely fun.
Yeah.
Were you able to joke with your family the way like Connor's able to joke with us?
So that's everyone asks like, oh, you must get it from your parents or your family or whatever. And it's like, my dad is very sociable and he knows how to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I don't think he like makes a lot of like jokes. I think like Arab humor is different than like American humor, or like more of a Western style of what we would see of stand-up comedy. So my dad's very social. He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to get people on his side.
He's charismatic.
He's charismatic. Yeah. That's the right word. My mom is more of a wordsmith. I would say she knows how to say things in certain ways to convey a certain thing. So I think that's just like the combination. But yeah, I don't think I got it from I think it was literally just watching TV and like getting a reaction from someone watching stand up and be like, this person's making me laugh and I've never met them before. I don't have knowledge of the inside. We don't have inside jokes with each other. It's different than when you're in high school or you see someone fall, like physical comedy, you see someone fall down. So that's where I'm like, this is amazing.
It's always funny to me because I'll hear the same thing, like, oh, your family, you're this, you're that. I'm like, I feel like the reason why my humor is my defense mechanism. And that came because I'm like the youngest out of 4. I was an accident. There's 7 years between my sister and I, you know?
Interesting.
But there's like this I always think about this one time where like my mom told me something shocking. And this is like the severity of not being able to joke with a Lebanese mom. My mom tells me something shocking and I'm like, oh my God, Mom, shut up. Shut up.
Don't tell me.
You tell your mom to shut up?
Yeah.
I'm all, Mom, no. Like, I'm not telling you not to talk. I'm telling you like, oh my God, skite. You tell your mom skite? I'm like, dude, you don't get it. Like in English. And I had to like show her on Google. I'm like, look it, like if you say something shocking, shut up is a very appropriate response.
Yeah.
Nothing like that, man. What a pain in the butt. I think it's really fun too, the intention behind writing jokes and then the like almost homework status of writing a roast joke. Because you're like researching someone. You know, like I have a bunch of roast jokes for you. I'm just kidding. No, I don't.
Please do. We could throw some back and forth.
No, I honestly, every time I see you, I just giggle to myself. I'm like, dyke no one likes.
Oh. Yeah.
Because that's his roast for me. Is like, oh, Melissa's family plays this game during Christmas. Dyke no one likes. I'm like, that's so
Instead of
good.
Elf on the Shelf, they play Dyke no one likes. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like I just,
that's awesome.
It's such a funny joke.
And
like,
it's so funny you say that because I have when I see you on a roast lineup, I'm like, oh my God, Melissa's gonna win. I'm not gonna win.
well,
like,
I've been unfortunately every time I'm roasting you, I've been using the same fucking joke.
Oh, you and everyone else. Yeah.
But the funny thing is, not funny. The ironic thing is, the first time I roasted you about that was 2 months before October 7th even happened during Corey Coogan's birthday.
Yeah.
And I was like, now this became way more relevant.
Do you want to say the joke for the folks who don't know it?
Are you gonna make me say it on a podcast?
Yeah, say it. It's funny. It's a good joke.
I go on stage and I say I feel bad roasting a Palestinian since Israel's roasted so many.
Yeah, it's funny. It's good. It's been used a million times against me,
Who
but
else
it's
has
so
used
funny.
it? After October, though, I'm the original. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were the original for
Thank
sure,
you.
and then a few other people have used it in different contexts
before it came more relevant.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
you were the hipster of genocide jokes. Good job.
Well, I knew it was happening before it was
that's
before
true.
everyone else knew it was happening.
That's good. That's a hipster.
I knew it was happening before. Talk about being politically well informed in the Middle East. No, just because, I mean, the knowledge of it comes. My mom got stuck in Lebanon in 06. And then when your mom's gone for a month and a half longer than she should have been because Israel blew up the airport, you find out why your mommy's gone. And then
Why are you guys hiding weapons in the airport?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to fly them out.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Where else do you put them? In homes?
Yeah.
In suburbs? Come on. You are my Arab brother in comedy.
There you go.
Do you enjoy talking about your culture in comedy?
No, not really. Well, there's two reasons for it.
Tell me why.
One, I don't want to be known as the Arab comic who does Arab jokes or whatever. Because like growing up, like when I showed an interest in comedy, my parents would be like, "Oh, like we saw this like Arab comedian," and there are like very funny Arab American comedians who do like good humor on like being Arab, and it's very relatable to us. But it's great, but it's relatable to a niche audience. And I don't want that. I don't want to be known as, like I alluded to, or I made the joke earlier about like, you know, like I'm sure a lot of like Latinos or like Mexican Americans, like when they do comedy, they don't want to be like, don't you hate when you have a haunted house? Like, or you know, it's like, oh, don't you hate when your abuelita does this? And it's like, do you want to be known for doing like Mexican comedy or Mexican American comedy? Like maybe you do. Like that's cool.
I think those guys do because they'll talk like you and me, and then they get on stage, and all of a sudden, it's and you see that a lot. I'm like, you're just trying to fall, like you said, into a niche category,
Exactly.
and then when you get into that niche category, sure, you might do well with that audience.
Yes.
But now try to make a Chinese person laugh or whatever. You know what I mean? You just got to be funny.
And on the flip side, I get that because it's like you do comedy from your experiences, what you can relate to. So if you were Mexican American, you're born here, and you were raised around people with like Latino backgrounds, great. That's what you know, and you make jokes about it. So I'm not who am I to like criticize you for doing that? So that's the first thing, is I don't want to fall into a niche. He only does these types of things, or he can only get booked on shows where it's that.
Yeah.
Which I don't get booked on shit anyway, so it's fine. But then the other thing is just like it's hard to get the concepts across to people who don't know about the Middle East. Like I've tried to do I don't do politics jokes at all, but when I try to do jokes about Palestine or like what's going on over there, it's just like people are either afraid to talk about it or they don't know what's going on. It just goes over their heads.
People are afraid to talk or to be in the presence of an uncomfortable topic.
Yes.
And then I feel like that doubles down when people are trying to make, it's not even making light of it. It's revealing the irony behind certain situations. You know what I mean? Like that's how I try to, I made a joke about being Lebanese and like my aunts right now, how like, cause every morning I call them, how you doing? Everything good? Cause our suburb is only like 8 minutes away from Dahye, from where they're doing all the bombing in Beirut. And it's like every morning I'm checking on, I make a joke about this and some lady's like, that's not funny.
Really?
And I'm like, why isn't it funny? And she started, this is blah, blah, blah. I'm a social worker. I can't laugh at that. And I'm like, okay, instead of worrying about the Middle East, worry about why your kid's parents like drugs more than them. You know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me how to deal with what, like, I'm calling my aunts every morning. I'm doing this. They're talking to me. Like, I'm just telling you my aunt's a gangster. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, 50 Cent got shot at.
That's a really funny joke.
Yeah, 50 Cent gets shot at. He has to rap about it. Like, my aunts are in a war zone right now. They're just asking me how I'm doing.
Exactly.
Like,
that's funny.
Anyway, but that lady we got into it a little bit.
Yeah, but it's also like, there's also this thing about guilt, survivor's guilt, where it's like, you're here completely separated from a war zone.
Yep.
You're calling your family members who are in a war zone, just trying to make sure that they're okay. Mm-hmm. There's almost this, I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel this guilt of like, it should be me over there. Like, why am I the lucky one who's here separate? So it's like, you can't enjoy, like, that's why I haven't posted and this is so stupid to say it out loud, but it's like, I haven't posted on social media about like anything that I've done outside of posting politics things, because it's like, I'm supposed to say I went to a pumpkin patch when you guys are literally like, smell tear gas constantly, or like you're seeing rockets fly above your house. Like, that's scary to me. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, and I'm supposed to be like, la, 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 I'm doing all these fun things.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Do you have a lot of family still in
Yeah,
Palestine?
most of my family is still in the Middle East. Like a lot of them are still in the Middle East. Like
are they in West Bank?
Yeah, all of them are in the West Bank. We have family that we married into that are from the Gaza Strip. So, like when we see that the only Orthodox church in Gaza is completely, being shelled at, obliterated, it's like, oh shoot, my aunt used to go pray at this church before, she had to leave and stuff. So, it's like everyone has a story. Every Palestinian, every Lebanese person, every Syrian person, everyone who's being impacted by what Israel is doing to the Middle East, they have a story. Or like you're like, oh yeah, my mom was stuck in Lebanon for a month and a half in 2006. That's not a thing that a lot of people can relate to.
Oh no, yeah.
So for you to make a joke about it as a way to diffuse the tension or to make the situation better, screw that social worker later.
Yeah.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Fuck you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Fucking bitch. It is a very big, like, I relate to that, the survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
It's always weird to me because now that I'm older, I understand more. But when I was younger, and because this conflict's been going on forever, my parents are here because of the civil war that Israel started in Lebanon. You know what I mean? Like, I think about it, and it's like that. When I was younger, I'm like, why didn't everybody else come too? You guys are the only ones. Like, why didn't you bring your brothers and your sisters? You wouldn't let me go somewhere without my brothers and sisters too. And then it's like figuring out how visas work and shit. Like, people just get stuck there. It's crazy. I hate it.
Yeah, and it's hard to talk about. Like, I do, like, there's very few things in life that make me cry or, like, tear up. But, like, talking about Palestine, talking about, like, just the things that our parents had to go through to get us here, like it is a hard thing to talk about.
Yeah. Well, we were at the World War II Museum in Chantel, like we were looking at the map that they had of Europe back in World War II, and I'm like, this is how it should have stayed, because it shows pretty clear right there in the middle. So you get Lebanon. Sorry, I'm getting all passionate and pounding the table. Lebanon, Syria, Palestine. Yeah. On the map.
Yeah. Well, even before then, like, not to get into detail, but it's like the Ottomans carved up it was all just the Ottoman Empire before World War I ended. And then afterwards, the British and French came in, and they just broke up villages and were like, okay, this village is going to be on the Lebanese side of the border instead of the Palestinian side of the border. So they're going to speak French and get bad Botox surgery. And these people in Palestine are going to get, shafted 30 years later. So.
Yeah. It's a really gross type of dynamic that goes on over there. That's so funny. You said get Botox and speak French.
Back when I was in college and I was very active with like a lot of Arab groups, my favorite hobby was making fun of Lebanese people. So I have a special place in my heart with Lebanese people where it's like, I just love to make fun of you so much.
My joke in my family is I'm the only one that kept my grandpa's nose. Everybody else got the same nose from the same doctor.
That's good. That's funny.
It's true. You see all my cousins, they all went to the same fucking doctor. I'm the only one that kept my grandpa's nose.
They get the bunny slope, as they call it.
They do. Yeah, the Nancy Ajram, the little button. They look like a person from Whoville. Just
the little Cindy Lou Who.
Yep. It's crazy to me how we've always, in like Western culture, we've looked at people like Al Qaeda and people like ISIS as barbarians for destroying historical monuments and places in the Middle East, and then we have this country, this westernized culture, doing it, and apparently they could have burned down the fucking Library of Alexandria and no one would have gave a shit, which is crazy. What is international law? Who enforces that?
Nobody. I mean, nobody. The United Nations.
That just doesn't mean anything, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's like more of just like, stop it.
Hey, we're all supposed to be doing this thing together. We're supposed to be together in this. It's like, now
this land is your land. This land is my land. No.
Well, it's even like with climate, not even like politics. It's like with climate change and things like that. It's like, oh, so we're all going to reduce carbon emissions, right? France, you guys are cool with that? Yeah. And it's like US, you guys are going to keep it down? Yeah. China, India, right? Like they're like, no, yeah, exactly. So it's like,
we'll dump wherever we want to dump.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll burn whatever we want.
And I'm sure they have their reasons for it. Like, I'm not a climate change expert or climate, policy expert, but it's like, even then they can't even agree that the world is burning and we need to slow it down.
Well, they're probably looking at us Western cultures like, you guys need us to export all this shit.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that. If you're gonna reduce it, we need to increase it. Like, which is crazy because production is so out of this world. Do you feel like your culture influenced your start? Like
in comedy?
Yeah, like the way that you say your parents were like, you didn't come, because to me, I was, how do I say this the right way? Kind of like how you said, like, good Palestinian boy, right?
Yeah.
Good Lebanese girl. I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to college. I got a degree. I got a job. And then I look at these younger guys doing it. I'm like, fuck, like, I wish I was ballsy enough to just be like, I'm 22 years old. I'm going to go do an open mic.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, I'm 22 years old. I got to study for my physics exam. Like, it was a very different, I don't know how to say it. Like, his parents are very supportive of his pursuit in music.
That's awesome.
That's super awesome.
Yeah.
My parents, to this day, if I tell my mom, oh, come see my show, she's like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that stuff.
That's how my dad is. Yeah, my mom the other day was like, "Oh, he has a show like nearby. Like we should go." And my dad's like, "No, like it wasn't a straight up no. It was like something else. We'll do something else."
Would you be able to perform with your parents in the crowd?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like I don't care. It's just like I don't think they would get the humor.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, do I think my culture impact? I think yes, but I think it's not so much the pure Arab culture. It's the Arab American experience that has impacted it the most. It's the struggle of being torn between two worlds, right? Where you're not fully in the Arab world. You're not like a fully Lebanese person. You're not fully a Palestinian person. And you're not fully an American person. And in most people's eyes, like there's things you can relate to on both ends. And I think that's where it influenced me. So it's like, I have jokes about like trying to date Arab women and like the struggles of dating Arab women when you have these like social constructions of like what you hear dating should be about, like, oh, going, Netflix and chill and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't really relate that well most of the time.
I get that. It's, I guess I don't want to like circle back to it, but you said, we're here talking about comedy. This last year has been emotionally turbulent.
Yeah.
I'd say, for you and your family and your culture. Have you had has it been difficult for you to find the humor in life lately with everything going on back home?
Yeah, it's like exactly what I was saying with the social media posting and stuff like that. It's just like, I feel like a lot of Arabs who are here or just not in the Middle East right now going through it, you just feel like you're going through the motions of life. Like I see that a lot. I hear that a lot. It's just like, there's nothing we can do to impact it over there other than spread awareness, call your elected officials, try and get certain brands boycotted, things like that. I mean, there are ways to help. I'm not saying that you can't help, but it's like, in terms of actually physically doing something right now, it's hard to do something. So we all just kind of feel like we're just going through the motions in life. Like, how are you supposed to have a meeting at your job, talking about, I don't know, TPS reports or something, something.
We're forced to be sociopaths.
Yeah, exactly.
We're forced to be sociopaths. That's what I was talking with my sister about that. It's like, we're literally forced to just, okay, our emotions and our thoughts, let's shove those deep, deep, deep down and let's act like everything's perfectly normal.
Yeah. And I have a Lebanese coworker, and, we've never talked about her being Lebanese, me being Palestinian, like at all. It's always just been like, oh, so did you get that thing for me? Yeah, great. I'll sign it off when and then it's just like, I want to just be like, are you okay? Like, are you feeling the same way that I feel? Where it's like you were saying, your family's 8 minutes away from where the Israelis are doing the majority of the bombing in Lebanon. And it's like, you're supposed to just go to work and have a normal day. And
well, it's like ironic. I'll ask my aunt, and she's like, yeah, I just went to the supermarket, did this. Everything bad happens at night. I'm like, what? So that time when you're supposed to rest, that's when you're getting anxious, waiting for shit to break loose.
Yeah.
It's different though. What's happened in Palestine is horrible. Yeah. What's happening in Lebanon is horrible too, but they're keeping it within blocks and regions there. The other one is just indiscriminate, and it's disgusting. So my heart's been with you.
Thank you.
I'm not good about posting emotional things, so I'm sorry if you feel as though I've been silent.
No, I never judge anyone who has not social media is a great tool to spread information and to spread, messages and things like that. But it's like, there's more that you can be doing than just posting on social media. It's like the bare minimum, but I don't expect anyone to even do that. Like there's other things. I would rather you just like, if the topic came up with your friends and people like, oh yeah, like good thing those Israelis are like doing this. And it's like, well, you can correct them and be like, no, they're actually not as good as you think.
Luckily,
they
the homies are well educated on the occupation.
Right. And so that's what we were talking about earlier, is this like duty to represent your culture, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's this narrative here of like a certain thing, like Israel's doing good and they can't be criticized, and let's send them more money, and fuck Asheville, North Carolina. They don't get any FEMA money, but we'll give Israel, $8 billion a year to do this.
Fuck our own citizens. Yeah.
Exactly. And fuck our own citizens. And then it's like, without an Arab person stepping in, or a person who's educated about it to step in and give the counter perspective of that, they wouldn't know. Like I'm assuming, unless you were like a Middle East scholar or expert, or just have a keen interest in it, why would you care about a place that's thousands of miles away that you have no interest in?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I care now knowing the situation, but beforehand, it didn't.
You were just ignorant.
It didn't affect my daily life. What's happening over there? Now it does a little bit more because we care a lot more because it's gross. But
and it's just like, oh well, it sucks that I know a person who's being affected by it, but it's like, my family members aren't dying. Like, I'm not seeing it in my backyard. Like, yeah, it sucks to see.
There's a reason I've
Ignorance
been
is
quite
bliss.
silent during your guys' conversation.
Yeah.
I'm here to listen. I'm
I
not here
appreciate
to
that.
tell you my 2 cents.
Sponge boy.
I'm a bit of a sponge today.
But I always appreciate getting the perspective. Like, it's nice to, when you can have a space where two people can talk about it who are, more involved in it. But it's like, I always just want to hear, like, what do you think of this situation? You hear about it, because like, I'm in a vacuum chamber of all of my social media: pro-Palestine, pro-Lebanon, pro-this, pro-this, anti-Israel. Like, but I'd like.
Well, Melissa knows. I showed her the other day. I curate my my Instagram feed in a very particular way. I like it to be stupid and funny and random and literally nothing to do with anything serious ever.
Oops.
But anyways, the thing is that I mean, where were we going with that? Before that phone call.
Just like, what do you think about it? And what you're saying, you curate
yeah. So for me, for my algorithm, I don't see anything. I only see what I see, like, in the news, or what I see from my friends telling me about their experiences, or from people that I watch on, like, say, YouTube, with them talking about it. But for the most part, it's like, I can't really develop a full opinion on what should be done about it, because it's too delicate. It's far too delicate, you know what I mean? Like, some people just say, get rid of Israel. But then it's like, okay, well, what do we do with all those people, and the innocent people in Israel, It's just, there's so many factors going on that, like, me sitting in one of the wealthiest places in the world as a privileged white man, I can only listen. That's all I can do.
And I would push back on that, as saying that, like, you, me, all of our tax money is being used to fund what is going on.
Yeah, okay, so
there.
when it comes to that, like, definitely I'm going to place my votes in places for my tax money to not be funding wars or genocides. Obviously, that's something that I'll vote against. But other than that, like, I can't say that I have a solution. I can't say, I can really only listen other than that, That's for my own opinion about it, obviously.
That's fair.
But as far as voicing it goes, I'll voice what I think needs to be voiced in order to educate and let people know what my opinion is on it. But when it comes to everything else, I can't speak from like a what's the word for it? Like, from like a higher up point, you know,
like a knowledgeable standpoint.
Like because I don't have all the knowledge either. I'm not. This isn't something that I've researched, Yeah.
Well, that's fair, but that's a very nuanced understanding. Like, you understand your limitations when it comes to it. So it's like, speaking from the gaming streaming world, like, a lot of these Twitch streamers now have to make statements on geopolitical things, and it happened recently. Like, I don't know, are we talking names of people, like streamers and stuff? I mean, they're big name streamers. I don't give a shit. So, like, there's one like Asmongold streamer. Like,
I've seen that name. I've seen that name on the news. What happened with him?
So this guy, he's like a World of Warcraft streamer.
Nerd.
Yeah, just like no. When you think of like a skinny World of Warcraft nerd, he is what you picture
he's
what
the
it is.
Embodiment.
Yeah,
of it,
like, literally has like the bottles of piss behind him, like, just empty Mountain Dew. But like, he's filthy. He's just like, a gamer.
And
So he's
one of the most He's one of the top paid streamers on Twitch.
Yeah.
And he has his pee on the
I don't think he ever has pee bottles.
Oh.
But it's just like that.
But like cockroaches and trash everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I was fighting a gag.
Yeah.
I was legit like,
But it's one of those things where it's like, and that makes sense. The context matters for this, because it's like the context of why he got banned from his streaming platform is because he said that, like, you know, I don't give a shit about Palestinians dying. Their culture is like subhuman. Their culture is not like, it's not like Western culture, so they are worth less. Like, their lives are worth less. And so you take so you hear that and you're like, okay, that's a bad statement.
I didn't even see the statement, so that's crazy.
So, but then people are like, you're taking that out of context.
Okay.
So then what's the context of what he's saying? He was saying in terms of defending certain rights, like LGBT rights, like the Middle East is like horrible on that. Their culture is not as progressed as Western culture. That's why they're less. So people are like, see, that's why he was calling them worthless, because they don't have gay rights in the Middle East.
they don't have them in fucking Dubai either. They don't have them in Africa.
Well, it's also,
I also think people take Asmongold too seriously. He's just a dumb guy
He's
in a
just a dumb
chair
streamer.
drinking Mountain Dew and playing WoW.
But then it's like the reactions of that. It's kind of like the Barbra Streisand effect, I think is what they call it from South Park, where it's not the initial statement, it's the reaction of that plus the reaction of the react. So then someone else made a reaction of that where it's like, he's wrong because of X, Y, and Z. Fuck him, get him banned, blah, blah, blah. Then people defending the guy who was banned because he's like, he's right, blah, blah. Look at the Arabs, and if you were a gay person in X place, you would get killed by now. So it's just,
That doesn't make me like the Middle East any less.
it's not
Culture move, it ebbs and flows in its own way. And how can people give a shit about LGBTQ fucking rights when they can barely get food on the table most days? It's
Very good point.
That shit makes me so mad. Like, to come back to Kelly, that dumb bitch Kelly.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is such a privilege for you to be able to sitting here drinking your wine, waking up tomorrow, getting your Starbucks, and you care about the Middle East.
Yeah.
Like, you're so fucking privileged.
You're ruining my buzz right now because can you talk about like dog accessories for more? Can you talk more about that?
But that's the part that trips me out. I'm like, you are so privileged.
Right.
And then that's what we're so privileged to hear, that we even get to worry about feminism and social rights and all this shit. Yeah. In Lebanon, their feminism is trying to give your baby, women, we can't nationalize our own babies over there. If I have a baby with a non-Lebanese person, my baby can't get Lebanese citizenship. The person I have a baby with could take a baby.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Luckily, that's not a problem for me.
So my whole point with bringing up the streamers and just react is like, you are expected to have an opinion on it, even though you're not. So you saying, hey, I need to know more about this. I'd love to have a 4-hour conversation with you and educate you about it, but that's good on you for recognizing that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, Con, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you do have an opinion on it, but the way you interpreted the question was more so of a, like, what could we do about it?
Oh, okay.
Right? Because you talked about a solution. You know what I mean?
Well,
and none of us can orchestrate a solution. No one that wants it to end can orchestrate a solution, because the people who have the power to end it don't want to end it.
Yeah. Well, I guess my opinion on it would be I condemn the Israeli government.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't support genocide.
Yeah.
But
both ways. You're not over here saying like, bomb Israel, which I agree with you. Like, people are innocent. Humans are innocent.
Yeah.
Can I push back on something, or not even push back? I just want to. I want to dig deeper into that. I don't know how many topics we have, so I don't want to.
No, go for it, man. We're talking. I'm having a good time.
Okay. Why specifically do you say I condemn the Israeli government?
Because I don't believe everybody in Israel is a bad person.
But you don't think that the Israeli government, the Israeli military, which is comprised of everyday Israelis, they have something to do. It's like when, like, even Bernie Sanders, right?
Yeah.
I'm a huge Bernie Sanders fan. Love what he is. And this is a Jewish man in America who I support a lot. He always says, oh, I don't support Benjamin Netanyahu and his unjust war. It's like, but like, you can't just make a boogeyman out of one person, say Benjamin Netanyahu is the bad person.
Obviously he's a terrible person, but there's definitely more to it than just him. There's more people backing him than just him, right? And there are people in Israel, citizens, that do back him. There's no doubt about that.
A lot of them.
A
lot of them.
But for all the ones that are innocent and want to get out of the country but have nowhere to go, it's like, we want to get everybody out of that country, right? But where do they go? Where do the people that we're where the whole entire
They can
world
move.
A lot of them
These
have
people-
dual citizenship too. Most of them are not from that country.
Yeah. But half of the world, if not almost all the world, hates these people right now. Where do you go when the whole world hates you?
You go to the places where they're from. Like a lot of them are Russian. Like I saw this video the other day.
Yeah, no, and that's totally fair.
Yeah.
If you have a place to go.
You sound
But I'm talking about the
go
people
to
that
where
don't.
you're from.
Go to
Shadi.
where you're from. Go,
Shadi.
go like your vacation. Like they. Anyway, I could talk about this for hours, but
No, I understand what you're saying. It's a very
That's why I say it's so delicate. You know.
so and that's where, as far as I mean, I try to look at it in a very, I don't even want to call it practical. I try to be devil's advocate against myself.
as you should, yeah.
Yeah, just to challenge my own
Absolutely,
thoughts and my own opinions. And it's like, your argument on this is basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying every Israeli is guilty.
Not every,
Because of the IDF.
Not every Israeli is guilty. There are a lot of them who are doing some great work and who are refusing to join the military.
Yeah.
They are.
And what are their consequences? I don't know.
They go to jail.
Yeah.
It's compulsory. You have to join the military
IDF
there.
is mandatory.
mandatory.
Yeah.
That's so.
So it's like you have to do it, and they're like, "Well, I'm just a soldier doing my job. Like it's not my fault that child got in my crosshairs and I had to pull the trigger." It's like, no, it's not. You can defect. You don't have, or not defect. So you don't have to do it. You can take the punishment of not joining. Also, just don't live there. Like, you have options to go live somewhere else. Go. You don't belong there. You don't belong there.
I understand. I'm like, if you're, I get your point.
Yeah.
Like, if you have the freedom to get away from a regime that you truly believe is evil, then you would avoid that thing. You wouldn't serve in the IDF.
So just to like,
You don't have to go to jail either. You could move
clarify
away.
exactly what I mean is not every Israeli is evil and a bad person, but a lot of them are complicit or very comfortable with what's going on over there.
Yeah, but my
Have
point
you-
was I feel like that does need to be a statement that needs to be said,
Yeah.
so that there's not anti-Semitism growing and stuff like that, because that will happen on the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
It's
like
already happening.
Just like it happened with the Muslims in early 2000s with 9/11. It wasn't their fault. I mean, this time it is a certain group of people's fault, right? In a way, but not all of them. And the thing that needs to not happen is for everybody in America to be like, Jews bad.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But
Anti-Semitism.
you are seeing that a lot on the internet right now too.
Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
horrible.
a lot
it's
of
literally
anti-Semitism.
the whole like they control the media and they do all. It's like, guys, this is not helpful.
It's
to
not about
anything.
that.
And it's not.
about
It's not Palestinian. It's not Arabs who are perpetuating this. It's like a lot of like, they don't even care about Arabs. It's like a lot of white supremacists who are like, see, they're doing more evil
We
in the
knew
world.
it.
We knew it all the time. Fuck the Arabs, but also like,
And that's where I'll circle back to hatred is taught.
Yes.
Hatred is definitely a taught thing. Babies aren't born hating a certain person.
Sure.
We are born with a blank slate.
Yeah.
I hate comparing it to like have you ever watched the show Attack on Titan?
The anime? I've never seen it, but I heard it's very trippy.
The parallels with what's going on right now in our world are, and I think you'd agree, it's insane. The whole show is about a group of people who were condemned as evil by a larger group of people, and that larger group of people was able to convince the entire world they're evil, and these people are seen as monsters. And these monsters are trying to show the world their humanity.
But these monsters also think that the other side is monsters, because that's what they've been taught. So each side thinks that the other side is a monster, and that's why these wars are happening, and that's just life.
And the show itself is very ironic because it's like they send what's it called, like espionage is what it would be. Like one group sends espionage over, and they realize it's like one of the lines in the show is like when the character's having a breakdown, he's like, why did those people have to be like that? And he's struggling because when he says like that, he means human, you know. And it's a very, I mean, if you watch, it doesn't happen until like the third season, but the parallels are so ironic, and it really does emphasize the whole like hatred is taught.
Right.
And I don't want to use that whole hatred is taught as an excuse for people who hate, because I think white supremacists are wrong. I feel like you should be able to look at the world around you, and you have so many resources at your hand where you can see these people are just people. You know what I mean? But for some reason, there is a lot of radical ideologies going on over there right now, and it is very one-sided. Because
but it's also like just to like, and I'm not gonna say I hate to always make it about Palestine, but I love making
it's very much about Palestine right now, and I'll say that as a Lebanese person. It's like I don't want to say things bad about my culture, but it's like my cousin is in charge of the housing of the displaced, the ones that they're putting in the clubs right now, which is really cool. But it's like, leave it up to Lebanon to bring a Lebanese singer. They have Joseph Atiyah. They bring balloons. They bring all this stuff. They're like, hey, wow, boom, boom, boom. And everyone's part. I'm like, you fucking guy, you get to drive home in your Bentley to your house in Biljabal, away from everything. And these people are still stuck sleeping in a fucking club with your balloons. And like, okay, I get it. You're trying to bring spirit, like happiness. But I'm like, the irony here is, it's like a dystopia, and it's like, leave it to Lebanese people to fucking
talk about the resiliency of Lebanese people, right? So like,
you're cute for calling it resilient.
No, it is resilient, but like they literally have set up like a rating system for like the sonic booms that the jets do over in Lebanon. They were like, that one was like a 5 out of 10. It startled me, but it wasn't like amazing. So they're making humor out of like an F-16, US made F-16, flying over their area and destroying villages and things like that. So it's like, that's resiliency, and that's awesome that they are able to take a horrible situation and like go live in a club, or like, reside in a club for a little bit. So, but going back to the former point of, what was I trying to say? I forgot what I was trying to say before that.
We were just talking about, like, you said you don't like making it all about Palestine. I said it's very much so about Palestine.
The whole hate is not taught or whatever, versus it's like, or hate is taught. It's not in.
It's not innate.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But there are things that kind of push people in that direction.
I hate albinos.
Really? You hate albinos?
They glow in the dark. It's weird.
They do?
I'm joking.
Oh my god!
I'm joking. I just wanted to throw you off.
Don't they have red?
I can see them glowing in the dark though. That would be cool.
I'm not gonna lie. Chantel and I were driving home the other day, and one popped out on a bike, and I was like, I was just a little scared. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Interesting.
Ghost.
Black albinos are always interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
it's interesting because you could still tell they're black.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's cool.
I don't know, but yeah, the whole thing is like, we're talking about anti-Semitism, how bad it is, right? And like, obviously anti-Semitism is bad.
And obviously there's much bigger problems right now.
But the thing is when you have a country calling themselves the Jewish state, and that they represent all Jewish people, and
they're wrong
while they're doing these things, and that's all you hear is, this is the Jewish state. We represent Jewish people, and it's like, oh, so then if you represent all Jewish people and you're doing this must be bad. So, or like that group must be bad.
And then you have idiots like Ben Shapiro freaking like right behind it. Like, what they're doing is totally called for.
This is exactly what Judeo-Christian values align as. So.
You do that really good.
Yeah, I know. I'm Shad Ben Shapiro. No, it's just like, it's just, he's horrible.
He's the worst.
Bad.
I've hated him for so long.
And it's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, he's just the worst. That's it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, with people with like Jordan Peterson and like this whole like right wing, because I feel like it started with like Ben Shapiro, Dan Bilzerian,
Steven Crowder.
These guys were like, men need to take their masculinity back. Like, let's stop being wussies. Like, men are made to work and do this and fuck your feelings. Women, you stay in the kitchen. So like a lot of like scared young men who are like, I am tough. I need to be tough.
Impressionable young dudes.
Impressionable. They were like, I can get behind this. I am an alpha male.
This guy's the shit.
And I love seeing those. Have you seen those videos of like these guys who are like, they've all paid for the classes, obviously, and they're trying to step up. Like this one kid in high school is so fucking like, he's such a loser. The teacher's like, he's like, do you need to stop talking in class? Or something like, hey Jeremy, like keep it down. I am the alpha male. You do not talk to the alpha male like that. And he's like, well, the alpha male needs to go to detention right now. And he's like, he didn't know how to it's just like they're getting the messaging, but they can't execute on it. So these guys have some good. My point is like these guys have some good messaging, but the rest of it is just like a lot of it is garbage.
There's an irony. I don't know which one it was that I saw the video of, but it was like one of those alpha male douche lords, one of those dudes, and he was like at a baseball game, and a bunch of little boys came up to him like, hey man, women need to do this, and he's like, you could see his face. He's like,
that's not what like,
what have I created? Like, he thinks he's like waiting for it to stop. And he's like, oh my God.
These were like 10-year-olds, like 9-10-year-olds.
Completely brain dead of any other type of logical thinking. They're just like, this guy's right about everything he says. Andrew Tate. Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, Andrew Tate was another one that I was thinking. Like,
have you ever seen the Andrew Tate, Your Mom's House interview?
Your mom? No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's so funny. He makes Tom Segura spits out his drink over something he says. But one of the things I love is Christina P. She starts out one of her questions. She's like, as a dumb, useless bitch.
That's funny.
And she asked the question, and this fool just answered. He's just like, well, listen, Christina. I'm like, dude, she literally was like, as a dumb, ignorant bitch. I was like, dude, you're so funny.
He disagrees.
He literally agreed. The thing that made him spit, he was like, a woman's just a hole. Tom's like what? Like, it's crazy. That guy's crazy. I thought he was a meme. I thought it was like an act.
But he sells classes. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like
a grift.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a grifter. Like, you can be like me, strong and cool, and get bitches and go to Romania and have a sex trafficking if you pay $4.99.
Typical masterclass get rich quick scheme bullshit.
Yeah. I hate all that kind of stuff. I can't believe you knew an actual guy like that. That's crazy.
No, I don't know him. It was a video of some guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like those kids, right? Where they like fell for it and they think like, I'm an alpha male, and it's like,
yeah. Now, as a dude, you're pretty. You can have a very serious demeanor.
Yeah.
I will say that it's not a negative thing. I think it's a very positive thing, actually. The ability to do both, right? It's not a dichotomy or whatever. It's just. You're on both sides. You also, like we talked about earlier, you have a very serious job. Yeah. Are you afraid of like not afraid? What's the right way to ask this question? Is there like a struggle or like a battle between like your comedic side and this more serious side? And if so, which one usually prevails?
Oh gosh, this is going to get into some deep stuff here. So yeah, I have to be a serious person. I am not a serious person, but I have to be a serious person. I am the oldest oldest sibling in my family. I have two parents who came from the Middle East. I had to figure out a lot of the stuff for them once I got to an age where it's like those memes online of like when you
figured out how to do taxes when you were 13.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, thankfully my parents didn't put too much of that burden on me for the serious stuff because I was just like a dumb kid. But it's like, interpret this medical document for your parents. And it's like, okay.
I have to call AT&T, be here to translate.
Literally, exactly. It's like stuff like that. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, if I fuck up, if I make a mistake, this is not just me. I made a mistake. It's on me. It's like my whole family is affected by it. And putting that pressure on yourself as a kid, that really makes you a serious person. Yeah. So I feel like, a lot of people see my demeanor and I don't like laugh at a lot of things a lot. I don't, unless it's a super funny joke.
Yeah.
Like, my level is like, because I've had like past relationships where they're like, you never laugh at anything I say, and it's like, well, you're not funny to begin with. But it's also like, I'll say that's funny. When I acknowledge something's funny, it's like, I know something's funny if I say that's funny. If I actually laugh at it, it's like, that's top tier humor.
Yeah. Well, that's a good laugh as an involuntary one.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I am a serious person because I have to be a serious person. Comedy is great because it allows me to, it's one of the, I'm allowed to be silly. I'm allowed to make a joke about something inappropriate while in the rest of my life, work, relationships, family, blah, 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 I'm supposed to be serious. So, it's one of those things. It's just like, I know, it's just, that's who I am now. I'm not serious where I'm like stuffy and boring and I don't know how to have fun. It's just, that's just what I've been molded into. And I don't know any other way. I can't just like, how do you not be?
It's just one of the hats you wear.
Yeah. It's like, how do I change the hat into like, what do I have to do to be less serious in people's minds? That's what I always ask people.
I don't think when I say serious, it's more so because when I hear you talk, you speak very passionately about the things you love and care about. Off of your basic demeanor, I don't think you're a serious guy. This is the longest we've ever talked. And now I'm saying
That's
I think
true, actually.
And now I'm saying I think you're a serious guy, because it's very clear that when you care about something, you truly care.
Yeah.
And it's just thinking about your job. A government job is a serious job. Yeah. I'm imagining if you're which government do you work for? Can you say?
Yeah, I work for the state of California.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like if one of the officials in the state of California logged on and then heard someone say like that roast joke, and then they heard you say, if it's either I'm doing it or you're doing it, right? Are you like, what's your reaction? Like if your boss is like, dude, Shadi, is this you, bro?
I'm terrified of that, honestly.
Really?
Like, yeah, because even growing up, like it was like, don't tell people you're Palestinian. Don't tell people like you're that, because they'll tell your job, they'll get you fired, your life will be ruined, blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, I can't tell people I am Palestinian. I can't tell people I support certain things. I can't, it's like we're seeing it with some other groups where it's like, oh, if people find out you're a Trump supporter, like that's what they're saying. I mean, it's not as bad. It's not. It's like if you find out someone's a Trump supporter, you're not.
You can choose to be a Trump supporter. You can't choose where you came from in your ethnic background.
Exactly, right.
Connor.
That's a good point.
He was sharp on that one.
No, that's very true. But you'll get victimized.
I understand the what you're saying.
Yeah.
But with comedy, same thing too. It's a voluntary thing. I'm volunteering to do comedy. So when I do a joke where it's a little edgy, do you really want someone representing the state of California doing that? Even though I'm not a low-level employee, blah blah blah. So, but again, it's like it's just comedy.
Are you gonna have to scrub the internet when you run for president?
I don't want to run for president.
I'm joking.
But it's like, it's the internet. People are going to find it anyway.
Yeah,
it's
there forever.
Exactly.
The internet is forever.
That's the thing that kind of interests me about politics in the next 20, 30 years. Like when we're like in our 50s and 60s and like people in our generation are running and it's like breaking news, Tom Johnson, like he had a MySpace profile where he did this, or like he posted on Instagram, or he had it, because now we're seeing it with tweets and cancel culture, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy. We're kind of getting a little taste of that now with this current election, because the vice president elect for Donald Trump, JD Vance, I'm pretty sure I saw a video of him fucking a pillow.
No, you didn't. That's a meme that got way out of proportion. It's funny. So what happened was somebody tweeted.
Like there was a video.
No, that's got to be AI for sure.
It wasn't a video. It was a picture or something like that.
So this was I heard about this. It was like somebody had tweeted JD Vance looks like the kind of guy who fucks his couch.
Yeah.
And
I can see that.
And it blew up. The tweet just got like, a bunch of retweets and all this stuff, and so people were like, yeah, he does fuck his couch. Like they just kind of like agreed with it.
I got caught.
Exactly.
The internet fucking got me. I believed it. I'm like, dude, he does his pillows.
Like, and then someone
he's
like
a pillow fucker.
He acknowledged it on like a little bit. He was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna love sitting on my couch after this debate or something. And people are like, he did the thing. Like he does fuck
That's
his couch.
Even funny.
Yeah,
he doubled down on it, made a joke.
He leaned into it. But there was literally just a tweet where someone's like, he looks like the kind of guy who fucks his couch.
That's crazy what monster a tweet can become.
Exactly.
That's crazy. That's like Catch Me Outside. Like it just happens. It's a force of its own. It's its own living organism.
And she's now the top OnlyFans model. Like, just fucking awesome. Good for her.
Yeah. I do got to say, I really respect Hawk to a girl for not taking that route. She went podcast route. I'm like, let's go, girl. You're not just going to be overplayed.
A hoochie. That one's overstayed its welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just like, why? Like, who listens to...
Southern charm don't work on Shadi only when you say his name right. Southerners.
Well, it's like Midwesterners.
Midwesterners.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like, I'm going on a trip with, like, Arabs from all across the country, right? And, like, there's a group of, like, 4 from Birmingham, Alabama, right? And it's like they have the accent and everything.
That's
and it's
weird.
like you're Arabs from Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so fun.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we're used to the Arab with like a Bostonian or New York accent because there's a lot of those out there. But yeah, it's typically not an accent that you hear. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Are they into like cowboy stuff too? Because that's not really part of the Arab culture as well.
But I feel like, like there's a lot in Houston. There's a lot of Arabs who live in Houston and they're all into the country music and Travis Barker or Travis whatever, and it's like, why do you? But I guess we come in different flavor,
Yeah. Well, being from California too, it's like I feel like being from California is like the easiest way to become Americanized.
Yeah, it's so neutral. It's like the blank slate of just like
yes,
everything from country to hip hop.
Yeah,
yep.
everything.
it just depends. Literally, like even if you think about the IE is like from Riverside to Norco is such a difference because like Norco, they have their streets paved in red, white, and blue stripes. Like that's crazy.
Cowtown or Horsetown, USA, baby.
You got it. And that's another funny. I think I saw a Korean country singer the other day when I was eating at Texas Roadhouse with the fam. He was on the TV. I was like, what, the Korean guy singing country? That's crazy. It's not something you see every day. Did you have fun doing you've been on a couple shows lately?
Yeah.
How was that rock gallery show?
It was great. That was such a cool space out in Palm Springs, the rock gallery. Shout out to them. It's just so intimate and I'm not saying intimate to be saying, oh, it's small. Like it is actually like there's 30, 40 chairs in there. You really are close to the comedians. Like they get good talent out there. It's fun. You should be on there.
Did you do the open mic first?
No, not even first. I did it. Pierce Amaro reached out to me and he's like, dude, I need you on one of these shows like 2 months ago. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
is he one of the guys out there?
It's cool. Alex and then Alex Avia and then Pierce Amaro. And they're super funny guys. And the owner of the rock gallery, I always forget his name. I think it's Alex as well too, but I forgot his name. Anyways, it's such a great show. And I just want to expand where I do comedy. I feel like I've just kind of limited myself to the Inland Empire and sometimes San Diego when I used to live down there, but it just never, I don't know. I want to go out to LA and try it. So how do you find...
I've never been to a mic in LA.
Really? Same. I haven't.
The closest I've ever gotten is Chatterbox, and I've only done it once.
Where? That's in Covina? Yeah.
West Covina.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like for dudes, but they have like priority for women and LGBTQ. So it's pretty cool.
At Chatterbox?
It's pretty cool in my situation because there could be 40 comics, but I can end up going up in the first hour, But I've heard of people being there all night.
Oh, so there's a lot of them out there?
The one time I went, it was 3-minute sets, and I think what I remember was over 40 comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
what
it's
are you supposed to do in 3 minutes? That's how it was in San Diego when I would do open mics down there, and it's like you get a great audience, and they want to watch comedy, like. But what are you supposed to do with 3 minutes? It's just
run the clock. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, it's just like I would just do joke, and it's like okay, but I'm not like you see like. Because that's the thing, I'm always interested in like the levels of stand-up comedy, like open mic level, right, where it's like you're just trying to tell a joke and get a laugh from it, and you do 5 of those, right, 5 1-minute jokes or like 7 jokes with like then you get into like 15-20 minute sets where it's like you have a little bit of time, maybe do a little crowd work, build it up, your stories can be a little bit longer, maybe do a little side jabs, add a detail here and there. But then it's like that level afterwards where it's like you have 30, 35 minutes. You can tell a longer story and add, like I saw a stand-up comedy show a few weeks ago at the Irvine Improv, which apparently you hate for some reason.
I bombed there horribly.
You got to perform at the Irvine Improv. That's amazing.
I cried on the way home.
Aww.
Yeah, Chantel was like, it's okay, everything's fine. I'm like, you don't understand what it's like to be in front of all these people and no one laughs at anything you say. Everybody hates you. Yeah. It's hard. Aww. Don't talk about the Irvine Improv. I might cry right now.
But I was there. But the guy told 3 jokes for 45 minutes.
Whoa. Long form.
Like,
who's the guy? What comic?
Nick Mullen. He's hilarious. Cool. Host of the Cumtown podcast, and then now it is the Adam Friedland show. But Cumtown podcast is what really motivated me to. Yeah, exactly right. The name Cumtown is just hilarious.
Pretty funny.
One of the funniest podcasts I've ever. And I don't listen to that many podcasts, but. That's what motivated a lot of what motivated me to actually do the open mic was like, if these guys can do it, and they're hilarious, obviously. But he did 3 stories basically over a 45-minute set, and it's like side joke, and it's like, fuck, how do you get to that level?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so that's where because for me, it's like I have like, if you gave me 15 or 20 minutes, I could do 15 jokes different, and I could weave it into like, this is about me and this is dating and this is this, and
to where it seems like a longer form joke.
Exactly.
Yeah But the bits themselves were kind of in like the inception of them was as independent
a 1 minute joke that should have been done at an open mic.
Yeah Oh man, that's fun. Do you have any shows coming up, Shadi?
No, actually. So if anyone's looking for someone to book you can see my sets on my Instagram, or you can see on my YouTube channel, which is linked on the Instagram.
Tell the people where to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me at Shadi Matar Comedy on Instagram. That's it. Just go there, check it out. ShadiMatar Comedy.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.